I saw this. I don't know if you'd seen it already, James, but saw this article or a number of articles coming off a tweet that a guy called Chris Dring made. He works for Game Industry Biz, or certainly did. There's been more layoffs, unfortunately, but I think Chris is safe. And he was sharing some interesting stats. Sony also talked about this on their recent investor conference. So this is really about how people aren't really playing new games. So there's huge numbers of people owning the consoles, playing games on PlayStation, Xbox, or on PC, or on Switch. But actually, half of Sony's users are still on PS4, so the last generation, and that's, 3 years in? And only 8% of the time spent is actually on any new games, and a good chunk of that was on new iterations of series, like things like FIFA and stuff like that. I think it was 3% of time is for new IP, which is crazy when you think about how much these games cost to develop and how few people are actually spending their time on them. Apparently, a large part of this is due to games like Fortnite and Destiny and Minecraft, which have been constantly updated, and people are just playing the same stuff that they enjoy. But James, I wondered if you had any thoughts on this phenomenon. Easy for me to say.
Yeah, probably. Stats are always interesting. You can prove whatever you want to with stats, as we know over the years. The PlayStation 4 against PlayStation 5 bit's interesting, I think. It'll be interesting to see when PlayStation 6 come out, whether people then gradually buy more PlayStation 5s, because certainly a lot of people buy stuff second-hand these days.
Yeah.
I think it's more reliable buying things second-hand than it used to be in the olden days, and obviously all the PlayStation 5 backward compatibility stuff means you can play all the old games anyway, so there's always literally hundreds and thousands and millions of games already out there in the ether from the last 20 years that are still a really good standard. So I think a few iterations of consoles back, you could either play older games which are generally awful or wouldn't work on your current gen, but on the PlayStation 5, for example, you can play literally anything from the last 15 years, and lots of them, without being a modern version, are still great. So like I said, I've got 40-odd games in my library, none of which are brand new, so I'm going to be spending the next year playing all those old games. So yeah, partially my fault, because there's so many things in my library, I just don't have time to play new things. And I think certainly when you get to our age, or most ages these days, if you've got a job and a family and a social life, then it's quite hard to find the time to play a brand new game as soon as it comes out, because there's so many old ones I'm still trying to work through. But also, to put the investment in of 60, 70, 80 quid on a new game, I can never justify that one. So I'll more than happily play stuff when it comes on subscription services. So like you said, Call of Duty, the new one, when it comes on day one, then yeah, I'll play that one. It's a new game, but it doesn't cost me anything, so fine. But if I had to go out and pay 80 quid for it, not a chance in hell I'd buy that one, because it's a load of money, and I've got better things to be spending my money on. So yeah, subscription stuff has kind of, I think, killed some of the new game vibe, because once you pay for the subscription service, which is quite expensive in the first place, you're kind of tied into playing whatever gets put on there. So I'm quite happily playing whatever old stuff is on the subscription service, because I've already paid for it, and therefore I will never buy a new game unless it's on subscription, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think they haven't held themselves either, have they, in terms of the way that consoles are developed? Because, like you said, the fact that you can play old games sort of makes it possible. Then the fact that games get updated so much as well means that they're still live. You know, you look at Fortnite or Minecraft or any of those games there, especially Fortnite. I mean, it changed completely a number of times, sort of every season. But even when it launched, it wasn't the Battle Royale game that it is now. So it's completely transformed, really. It's not the same game. And those things in combination, along with, I think, the fact that when things come out, they're often quite buggy, and so you tend to get a better version by waiting anyway. So I think lots of good reasons to wait. But yeah, financial is definitely the main one for me as well. And I don't know about you. Because I don't tend to play online, I don't feel like I'm really missing out by waiting. I mean, maybe I can't join in the discourse on a sort of social media platform, and maybe I get things spoiled, although I've done quite well to avoid various spoilers, which I shouldn't say, because there's probably someone on the internet who'll take that as a challenge and just send me all kinds of endings now. But I don't think the sort of FOMO's there, and the fear of missing out is, I'm just quite happy to pick things off that look interesting, and some of those are, £3 games or 79p games on Steam can be something that grabs grabs your attention, can't
Yeah. I've kind of got into it a bit more since we've been doing the podcast, because I must admit, up until we started doing the podcast, I wouldn't have a clue what new games were coming out, what had just come out, and what had been out for 5 years. I'd just see something I like and played it. I didn't really care when it came out. But now, since we started doing this one, we've been watching the preview shows and all the state of play and bits and pieces, then I know what's coming now. So I get more of a sense of excitement for upcoming stuff now that I never used to get. Still doesn't mean I actually play it because I'm tight. But the sense of excitement's back. But also things like Minecraft. Obviously, Josh has been playing Minecraft for years now. I still can't see the point, but there we go. He loves it. And lots of people do, apparently. But whatever generation of console you get to, Minecraft is never going to look any different than it looks on Minecraft, because it's perfectly playable on PlayStation 3, 4, 5, or your tablet or phone or scrap of paper. It looks exactly the same. It's budget. But you're never going to buy a new console or be encouraged to buy a new console to play a game like Minecraft or even Fortnite. They're all fairly standard, basic games you can play in any format. So it doesn't matter what you've got. They're going to be there for the next 5, 10 years probably. So they're always going to be leading the way unless something brand new comes out which takes over. I can't imagine any particularly brand new genres that have not been tried over the last 20 years that's really going to capture someone's imagination. I can't think of a game from the last 5 years, for example, that's really blown off and been like amazing, one of the best-selling games of all time, unless you can.
Well, that's putting me on the spot. No, not really. I think, I mean, Destiny 2 is 10 years old, isn't it? So that was probably the most recent thing, I think. I don't know if Fortnite was after or before, but things like Fall Guys definitely had a moment when it was released on PlayStation Plus as a free game, and then it went free to play. It had another surge. I think Rocket League had a similar sort of journey at the start, but it hasn't blown up in those ways. And then you think about the series that are essentially the same game, FIFA or FC 24. It's not radically different, but they managed to get you to rebuy based on the new rosters. So that's kind of always got some reason to update. I think they quite often give you a fairly cheap upgrade route as well to go to the next one. So FIFA or something like that, NBA 2K, those sorts of games are probably the closest. I think the other thing we're probably missing, because I'm not sure about you, I've not played it online, is Grand Theft Auto. So Grand Theft Auto 5, but still that was out on the previous generations. Was that even, thinking about it, was that even PS3? No, it was PS4, wasn't it, I think?
It's been out for about 10 years, isn't it? 7 years, 8 years?
This is where I'm going to feel really old. But GTA Online, it gets continually updated, and people are spending crazy amounts of money overall and sometimes individually on points for that. And I really enjoyed the game, but I have never touched the online mode at all, and have no intention of doing so. So maybe we'll see when GTA 6 comes out next year. That might be the one to maybe kind of be the next big push. But yeah, it's been a long time coming for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, the other big thing is PlayStation 4, that generation with the Xbox One. I think that pushed the boundaries quite a lot compared to the previous generation, but the PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X, although they're technologically amazing, I don't think anyone's particularly exploited it massively to set it massively apart from the PlayStation 4. So you can probably play any game on a PlayStation 4, and you might notice a bit of a difference graphically to playing the same game on a PlayStation 5, but not enough to make you never want to play on a PlayStation 4 or to upgrade if you already had a PlayStation 4. There's not enough gap yet technologically between the two to make the investment worthwhile, apart from people like us who always buy new stuff because we like feeling like we've got it all.
It's funny, isn't it? We're talking about games and not kind of rushing into the new stuff, and here we are with all the latest tech really between us. So maybe there's something there in terms of the slightly older gamer. Maybe they like the gadgets, but then kind of start to retract. Was there ever any time in gaming when you used to buy things new or ask for things new? I'm thinking when I was much younger, I'd sort of, be lucky to get something for maybe for birthday and Christmas, maybe even combined back in the day. But beyond that, there was definitely a short period where I did pre-order a couple of games, sort of early 20s. But I can't think of a long time where I've gone out and bought things brand new.
No, I mean, my Spectrum was the only thing I ever asked for. Then the Atari Lynx and the CD32 were both technologically advanced at the time, and I like the idea of them because they look cool on the back of the boxes. But no, it's been a lifetime. As you know, I stopped playing any games at all for about 10 years before we started getting back into it during lockdown. So I couldn't care at all about what came out during that time. But recently, like I said, I've got back into looking at the previews and stuff and getting excited about things, but not excited enough at my age of 45 to spend the money. So the excitement is tempered by the cost-benefit analysis these days. Whereas when I was younger, then it's my parents' money, so you could just beg and get really excited and finally win on your birthday or Christmas. Now when it's your own money that you're earning, not quite so keen.
It's a bit different, isn't it? Well, it takes a lot to get a 45-year-old excited in my experience. But hopefully, listeners, if you've been listening to the last hour or so, maybe we've done a little bit to brighten your week. I don't know. James always mocks me for that sort of segue, but I thought that was not a bad one.
Yeah, it's quite touching.
Quite
My
touching.
heart is swelling.
Thank you. Okay, well, on that bombshell. Oh, heart, did you say? That's good.
Yeah, heart.
Okay. The camera shot is just of the neck upwards, so I didn't like to say.